the Israelis showed him a video of what happened on October 7th and just how horrible it was, and that this can never happen again, and that
Right.
Hamas is just, they're just evil,
Right.
basically. But in the video, he said he talked about like
No.
headings,
Well,
uh,
yeah, beheading and mass rapes. He
mass
said he
rapes,
is
right, right. He
right.
brought up the mass rapes in the video, and I'm wondering, nobody has seen this video. I have heard about this that a select few special people get shown the special video that the
Hmm.
Israelis have, and then they come out and say it's just too awful. You don't even want to think about it. You can't even
Hmm.
imagine. I stand with Israel 100%. Hamas has got to go. They're completely
Hmm.
justified in what they're doing in Gaza. This
Right.
comes up time and time again, but nobody has seen this video. Nobody in the public. So is this does this video even exist, or if it does, is it a Hollywood production, something that they've manufactured? Like, where is this coming from? I find this odd that they keep on talking about that they are people are shown this video, but why can't we
Yeah.
see it? We see horrible things on X all the time. What Israel's
Right.
committing in Gaza. Why can't you think that Israel would want to show as much as possible, as much airtime as possible
Right.
of what happened on October 7th? But we don't see it.
Yeah. I'm sure it exists. Yeah. If they're not showing this particular video or releasing it to the public, is probably because so much of it is easily debunked, like the mass rapes, which has been debunked repeatedly. That I think that's probably why it's not shown. But Netanyahu continues to make those claims. Even about the beheaded babies and babies in ovens and all those things have been debunked. Long ago, but he still says them, and it continues to have an impact. A lot of people really want to believe in it. The thing is, like, it's important, I think, to those people, who support Israel unconditionally to believe in it. Otherwise, you have to start thinking about the suffering of the Palestinian people. I would say that even if you believe that video, even if you believe there were mass rapes, even if you believe the story that, there were 1,200 people, all of them were killed by Hamas, you regard them as 1,200 murders. Well, that was a year and a half ago. And since then, we have, at least 50, 60,000 Palestinians, the great majority of whom are were civilians, actually women and children, and probably hundreds of thousands, at least a couple 100,000 dead, indirectly because of this attack. At some point you say, okay, even if that's true, at what point does that become just overwhelmed by the suffering that has been inflicted upon this population? You have to stop and think. I mean, obviously Witkoff didn't. It's being used as for a justification for the genocide up to now, and for continued genocide. Again, I think you could go through and probably debunk more than half of the claims that are made in that video, whatever it is. Or maybe all of them, I don't know, because I haven't seen it, like, as you point out. But even if, you allow for it, even if you somehow believe the stories that are made, that have been spread, it still doesn't, it still doesn't absolve Israel of the charge of genocide.
Right. Yeah. And so you think, yeah, this video that they're showing people, you think it's probably fabricated? Half of it is just manufactured, mixed in with real footage, and then they throw in things with like babies in ovens and rapes that they have actors or CGI. Is that probably
I
what
don't,
it is?
it could
I,
very well be.
I
It could very well be. That's one thing is, um, it's like visual footage really is something that that in our day and age, it's easy to create a sort of almost a hyper reality, through videos. Sometimes movies, for example, can seem more real than reality. It's something that we can do, and you feel like, yeah, I really saw it. It's really there. This is so horrible, and I can't, I have to, therefore, support Netanyahu and the IDF, unconditionally, because I felt it. I was there. But no, you weren't there. And you need to ask the questions like, is this actually real? Okay, they showed me this. but let's stop. Wait a second. They have a huge incentive to, shape my views of this. And it's obviously the incentive is to exaggerate the wrongdoings of the other side and to, maybe not discuss, their own fault for this incident. For example, as we've discussed earlier, on that day, October 7th, it's clear that the Hannibal directive was put in effect. That's been admitted to by the IDF. It has been reported in Israeli, papers. And the Hannibal directive, of course, is a license or an actual instruction to kill Israelis who are in danger of becoming hostages, because the IDF thinks, this is something, hostages puts them at a disadvantage. It gives strength to the enemy. So rather than allow the enemy to take these hostages, we're going to kill the hostages along with the enemy. And it's clear that that was in effect. We don't know how many Israelis were killed by the IDF on that day, but it could very well, it probably was in the hundreds. So, that 1,200 figure, first of all, half of them were soldiers. So we're not talking about murders. These are not, our war crimes or anything. This is an occupied people that has been under attack by the Israelis for a long time. They strike back. They kill, IDF soldiers. That's war. That's all it is. Now, the civilians, attacks on civilians, those are all potential war crimes. I agree. And I'm sure some of them are. But it's unclear how many of those civilians were, in fact, killed by the IDF. So the whole thing has been, even putting aside all the beheaded baby nonsense and mass rape nonsense and all that. If you just look at that statistic, which is repeated again and again, that statistic is suspect and is actually, clearly doesn't reflect the, let's say the horror, or it clearly is not evidence in itself of the malevolence of Hamas. It just doesn't work. So anyway, yeah, there's just been an obvious manipulation, an attempt to milk, every October 7th for all it's worth, to justify, the horrors that Israel is inflicting upon the Gazans.
Right. It's infuriating as an American to see how much Israel has manipulated the emotions of Americans, have purchased our congressmen and our senators, much of our government, how involved and how controlling they've been. And I'm wondering, do you think that, I think that this will backfire though on the Israelis, that because once people realize that they've been manipulated, I mean, maybe some people will refuse to ever think that they've been manipulated,
no
that
doubt.
but I think they will feel an outrage that I feel about this, that this is happening, that they're lying purposefully to you to achieve genocidal ambitions, which is the worst thing possible, and that we're becoming complicit in it, and we're being told this, and this constant view of there are no innocents in Gaza, that they're all terrorists. And you and I, we've both been to Palestine and Israel. We've spent time in the West Bank, and you meet them. The Palestinians, they're real people. They're real people. They're nice people. They're very generous and hospitable. It's just the idea that they're just all bad. This othering of a people that is being done here in the United States, that I'm seeing so prevalent, that they're just all bad. I don't know what I'm trying to get to exactly here, but it's just, I don't know how we could fix that. And I'm furious that this is happening to so many Americans, that they're coming to this conclusion that, well, there's just this one group of people in the world, the Palestinians, they're just really bad people. And that's unfortunate, but that's just reality. We're seeing it. Israel keeps on telling us, and we got to help Israel against these evil people that live there. And it's, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it can be depressing. It's true. I don't really have anything to add to that. I think what you said is very true.